1 year ago today, the city of Wuhan, China was put under lockdown as the coronavirus continued to spread. For the next 76 days, residents were forced to stay in while little information managed to get out. Now, a new documentary titled 76 Days is shedding light on those early chaotic moments in the first hospitals to battle COVID-19. Brook Silva-Braga has an exclusive look at the film, but a warning, some of what it shows is hard to watch.
From its very first moments, 76 Days is emotionally explicit. A nurse in a Wuhan hospital begs to see her dead father's body. Her colleagues won't let her for fear of contagion. Director Hao Wu lets the ordeal play out for more than 3 minutes. Why did you let it linger so long?
It was a creative choice to let the audience experience and feel and hear what was happening inside the hospitals, to let them be emotionally shaken and also moved.
How did you get in there? How did you get this footage?
At the beginning of the lockdown, it was absolute chaos in the hospitals. And as long as a hospital chief granted permission to any reporter, he or she could just really roam free inside the hospital.
Wu actually lives in New York City, but last February he partnered with 2 Chinese journalists embedded in Wuhan hospitals, Wei-Shi Chen and another anonymous photographer. Each night they uploaded video for Wu to edit.
It was really strange receiving footage from Wuhan in New York. At that time, people still could go out to eat, go to restaurants. I was still meeting up with friends. And every night after coming home, I would start reviewing the rushes from my 2 co-directors and witnessing how horrible it was in Wuhan.
Almost no one in the world had seen footage like this in the middle of February.
That's absolutely correct.
What we knew then about the situation in Wuhan came mostly from images like these from Chinese state television, orderly hospitals with dancing patients. This is what 76 Days captures. Desperate people battling for a hospital bed. These were, of course, the very first doctors and nurses in the world to try to treat COVID. And 76 Days portrays them as heroes, discovering and navigating the cruelty of the new virus.
That image of the male nurse trying to comfort an old, scared grandma who was dying alone by herself, that was really powerful to me.
But for a time, Wu feared none of this footage would ever be publicly seen. As the virus spread and the Chinese government clamped down on negative portrayals of its response, his 2 co-directors, both Chinese citizens, stepped away from the project.
So for a period of time, we stopped collaborating. I was just basically sitting with this footage and not sure whether I would be able to continue to make a film.
Whether they would let you use the footage?
Yes, that's right.
They had good reason to worry. Zhang Jian, a citizen journalist who exposed bad conditions in Wuhan on social media, has since been sentenced to 4 years in prison. So some viewers might be skeptical of Wu's motivation for removing whistleblower interviews from early cuts of the film and avoiding political discussions in it entirely. Knowing you needed to get your co-collaborators to agree to whatever you made, is it not fair to at least describe this as a form of self-censorship, the decisions you made and what to show and what not to show?
I don't think so, because my co-director and I, we actually shot a lot outside the hospital as well. We shot 2 whistleblower doctors. It just didn't jive well with the other footage we have, which is so powerful observational footage.
The power comes in tiny details, like this plastic crate at the nurses' station, filled with orphaned items.
That box of phones left over by the dead, and also especially that phone still ringing.
31 messages unread.
Absolutely.
And you have to think what those messages are.
It gives me chills even now when I think about that image.
Against government regulation, a nurse collected the items, and then when the lockdown finally ended, called each family and returned what was left. Loneliness and grief last spring that would soon be shared in every corner of the world. For CBS This Morning, Saturday, Brook Silva-Braga, New York.
So interesting, the decisions he made, as he put it. It's emotional.
Yeah, I mean, just the phones and returning that one moment. You think of the messages and people being alone. We've talked about this here, as you said, everywhere. People dying alone, which they shouldn't have to do.
Well, knowing he saw this footage before the rest of us knew what was going to be happening to us, I mean, that in and of itself, holding on to that information had to be torturous for him.
And the heroes at the very, very front line, both China and here, who were dealing with something that nobody knew anything about at the very beginning. All right, today on the one-year anniversary, MTV is sponsoring digital screenings of 76 Days, allowing anyone to watch for free if you want. Go to 76daysfilm.com. I know it's tough to watch, but